Conquer the Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot for Sunday, June 21st, 2020. Want to say happy Father's Day to all the fellow dads out there. Want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Hope everybody's following on social media on all platforms. You can find the show at Catch, Hook, Shoot. For all your t-shirt needs, head to prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot, and the Patreon page is still patreon.com/catchhookshoot, but I am still making some updates there. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. A lot of crazy and quite frankly disturbing things going on this week in the world of professional wrestling. I'll definitely be getting into all of that later on in the show, but first and foremost, we're going to kick the show off like we always do with the match of the week. So the match of the week this week comes from Backlash last Sunday, and it is the match that was billed as the greatest wrestling match ever between Edge and Randy Orton. Now, was it the greatest wrestling match ever? In my opinion, no, but it was a great match. I mean, it was probably the best match that WWE has put on in a very long time. Had a lot of really cool little nostalgic elements, like the Madison Square Garden microphone hanging from the ceiling. They had the recorded intro from Howard Finkel, which I thought was an awesome little touch. They had the referee dressed in the old school powder blue shirt and bow tie referee uniform, which was also really cool. But the match itself was just fantastic, and honestly, I'd expect nothing less from Edge and Orton. They really are two of the best in-ring performers in WWE history, and they put on a great match. Unfortunately, Edge was injured in the course of the match. Apparently, during they reshot a portion of the match because it was recorded beforehand, and in the course of reshooting it, Edge tore his tricep. Had to have surgery, which he had, but apparently now he is going to be out for like 8 months, which really sucks because this was the second match between Edge and Orton since Edge's return at the Royal Rumble. Obviously, Edge won the match at WrestleMania. Orton won this match at Backlash, and I'm 99% positive we were going to see a rubber match probably at SummerSlam, but that's, obviously out of the question now with Edge being injured. And the thing that makes it suck even more is that from what I read, none of the reshoots were used. The match that we saw was the first taping of it. So it just makes the injury even that much worse, considering it was it was unnecessary. Basically, it didn't have to happen. But Edge versus Orton, was it the greatest wrestling match ever? Not in my opinion, but it's definitely up there. It was a fantastic match. So that is this week's match of the week. Moving on to the next segment of the show, where we go over my top 3 highlights of the week, and that is called the 3 Count. First up on the 3 Count is another match from Backlash last weekend. It was the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders. Now, I had the impression that this was going to be a straight-up wrestling match when it was first announced, kind of at the last minute, but it ended up being one of these cinematic matches, which I was a little disappointed with. It was still, very good, very entertaining, a lot of cool elements. But I like I said, I wanted to see a straight up wrestling match with these guys, but it was a very, very entertaining cinematic match. We had the spot with Akira Tozawa and the Motorcycle Ninjas, which just kind of came out of left field. But that ended up, becoming seeing the formation of what they're calling the Viking Prophets, and so once the motorcycle ninjas were taken care of, the Prophets and the Vikings got back to fighting each other. I'm assuming the match basically ended in no contest. They all ended up in a dumpster, and the referee Jessica Carr came out and said, "Hey, you guys, your match is next," but obviously that didn't happen. So, like I said, very entertaining. Not what I was expecting, but, pretty good nonetheless. Second up on the 3 count on Monday Night Raw, we saw Dominic, Rey Mysterio's son, make an appearance and attack Seth Rollins and basically get away without taking any damage himself. He got in, got his shots in on Rollins, and got back out. So they're definitely doing a pretty good job of building the storyline with Rollins and Mysterio and Dominic now getting involved. And I'm sure this is all leading up to Dominic hopefully making his in-ring debut. And I'm waiting to see if we're going to see a heel turn from Dominic, see him join up with Seth Rollins as one of his disciples. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's leading to. And third up on the 3 count is these last 2 weeks we have seen the last 2 chapters of the Last Ride documentary on The Undertaker. And, if you have not seen any of this documentary, it's a 5-part series on WWE Network. Go watch it. Watch the whole thing. Watch it from beginning to end. If you are an Undertaker fan, it is one of the best things I've ever seen, quite honestly, because it lets you see a side of the Undertaker that we've never got to see before. We get to see Mark Calloway. We get to see the man behind the Undertaker. We get to see him with his family and hear, his real thoughts on his career and where he's at and where he's going. And, the 5th and final part of that documentary just came out this morning. I actually just got finished watching it before I started recording here. And, pretty much The Undertaker has made it official that he is retired. He stated he has no desire to get back into the ring. Now, obviously, and he said it himself, you never say never. That's the old saying in the wrestling business, you never say never. And I think if there's one thing we can take away from this documentary, it's that the relationship between Undertaker and Vince McMahon. If Vince McMahon needs the Undertaker somewhere down the line, within reason, I'm pretty sure the Undertaker is going to be there. But he has pretty much made it official that he is done as far as being an in-ring competitor. And as much of a fan of The Undertaker as I am, everybody knows, I am an Undertaker mark from day one. And, if the WrestleMania 36 Boneyard match against AJ Styles is the last Undertaker match that we ever see, I'm good with that. It was a fantastic match. It was a great kind of cap on his career. We got to see elements of every part of the Undertaker character, from the Dead Man to the American Badass to the man himself, Mark Calloway, in kind of a hybrid type Undertaker. And got to literally see him ride off into the darkness on his motorcycle. And, if that's the last vision that we have of the Undertaker, as a WWE superstar, an in-ring performer, however you want to put it, that, I can't think of a better last visual for The Undertaker. So, it was, as an Undertaker fan, as big of a fan as I am, it was emotional to watch it and to, kind of hear that's it. But, he has nothing left to prove. There's nothing left for him to give of himself. And, he, in my mind, the greatest of all time. So, like I said, The Last Ride, all 5 parts are out now. If you have not seen it, go watch it. I'm probably going to sit down and watch all 5 parts again when I get done recording here. So, if you are an Undertaker fan, you need to check out The Last Ride. That's all there is to it. So, moving into what's going on in pro wrestling this week, I'm going to start off like I normally do with, going over news and rumors and stuff, and then I'm going to get into some of the darker things that we have been learning or that have been coming to light this past week in pro wrestling. But let's start off with Monday Night Raw. We saw the return of the Big Show, came out to help the Viking Profits in their battle against Akira Tozawa and the Motorcycle Ninjas. And we are finally, hopefully, this week on Raw, going to get the actual tag team title match between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Saw a segment with Lashley and MVP in the ring, and of course, Lana came out. They're Lana and Bobby Lashley still married in storyline on WWE, but we saw Lashley say he wants a divorce. So it looks like they're gonna, they've already been doing it, but they're moving Lashley away from the kind of hokey stuff that they've had him doing the last year or so, and making him a much more serious competitor, which I am perfectly fine with that. I mean, Lashley is an amazing in-ring performer. I think putting him with MVP is a great move, because if Lashley has a weakness, it is promos, but putting him with MVP as a mouthpiece is definitely the right move there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Lashley going forward. I mean, obviously he had a WWE title match at Backlash, was not successful. Drew McIntyre is still WWE champion. And then later on in the show, we saw a segment backstage with Natalya and Lana. Now, Natalya had a tag team match with Liv Morgan, which they lost. And so we saw Natalya backstage kind of chewing out Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan basically just walked away. Natty was left there kind of complaining a little bit. Lana came up from behind her, started talking about, her issues with Lashley and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, are we going to see some type of an alliance with Lana and Natalya? I don't know where they're going with it, but I'm curious. So I'm going to, reserve judgment until I see where this is going. Talking about MVP and Lashley, we saw MVP actually trying to recruit Apollo Crews. And then, Apollo kind of rejected him basically at first, but then when Apollo had a U.S. title defense against Shelton Benjamin, Apollo using some kind of underhanded tactics to get the victory, holding on to the rope to get the pinfall. So could we see Apollo Crews joining up with MVP? I definitely have no problems with that. I think that would be a nice little faction there. And there's some other rumored people that MVP may be bringing in as well. Now, again, this is just a rumor, but this, the faction that is rumored to be getting put together is definitely a good one, in my opinion. Now, whether this is going to happen or not, especially with Paul Heyman no longer being in charge of Raw, I don't know. I hope they move forward with it. I hope this rumor is true, because I think this would be a great faction. Obviously, MVP is the leader. Bobby Lashley, Apollo Crews, Shelton Benjamin, another name that was mentioned, which is great. Shelton Benjamin, one of the best athletes all around that WWE has and has had for a number of years, and just you don't see him on TV that much. He's not involved in any major storylines, so I think hooking him up with MVP would be a very good thing. And two other names is kind of a newer tag team that we've seen but haven't seen in a couple of weeks, and a couple of younger guys that definitely deserve some more TV time, deserve some more storylines with a little more meat on the bone, stuff like that, and that's Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. So that could be a pretty badass faction, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I really hope, like I said, that is a true rumor and it actually happens. Then we also saw the return of Christian on Monday Night Raw. And he was challenged to an unsanctioned match by Randy Orton, which he ended up accepting. Was supposed to be the main event of the show. Both guys made their way to the ring. And then Ric Flair came to the ring, was trying to talk Christian out of the match. Christian basically, dismissed him, said, no, I have to do this. And then we saw Ric Flair hit Christian with a low blow, and Randy Orton hit him with the punt, and that was pretty much that. So the match never actually took place. Didn't really expect it to, because I think most people know Christian is not medically cleared. I don't see him really taking any bumps or anything like that. I mean, the worst thing that he had to do in this particular segment was drop to his knees after Flair hit him with the low blow. I don't see Christian taking any bumps anytime soon or anything like that, just because of the concussion issues that he's had, and I don't think WWE would clear him to get any more physical than what we saw on Monday. But we'll have to see. I mean, it looks like they're using this as a way to kind of keep the Edge and Orton storyline alive while Edge is recovering from his injury. So I'm sure once Edge is recovered and cleared to return to action, they're going to pick this one back up. Moving on to NXT, Breezango had their NXT Tag Team title match against Imperium, and we saw interference in the match from the teams of Indus Sher and Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. So didn't really get a clear-cut winner in that one, but definitely the NXT Tag Team division is looking very good right now. So I'm guessing we're probably going to see a fatal four-way match with these four teams at some point down the line. We saw Aaliyah get a victory against Xia Li with somewhat of an assist from Robert Stone. Now, Robert Stone has kind of been... since he was fired by Chelsea Green a couple of weeks ago, he's kind of been seen, just in the back, looking very disheveled, possibly intoxicated. Well, definitely intoxicated. That's the, what they're going for. And we saw Robert Stone, kind of dragged to ringside by Aaliyah because she wants to be part of the Robert Stone brand, as it were. And so she kind of propped him up on the ring steps during her match, and at one point, Stone got up on the ring apron and vomited in the ring, and that's kind of what caused the distraction and allowed Aaliyah to pick up the victory. So we'll have to see where this is going to go. But I'm guessing from going forward, we're going to see Robert Stone managing Aaliyah, which is cool. I mean, I'm actually a big fan of Aaliyah, so I'm hoping she gets a little bit of a push into some bigger storylines. I'm not saying throw her into the title picture just yet, but it's trending in that direction. She's looking to be moving up in the women's division in NXT, and I'm all for that. Last couple of weeks we've been seeing kind of some training type vignettes with Timothy Thatcher working with some students. They're really not showing their faces or anything, so you don't know who the students are. Just kind of showing off his submission skills and stuff like that. So I'm figuring once Thatcher comes back to NXT, as far as in-ring stuff goes, he's going to be positioned as pretty much of a badass, which he is. So it should be interesting to watch. I'm curious who they're going to put him with next. Considering Matt Riddle no longer a part of NXT, we'll get into that in a little bit. Saw Bronson Reed come to the ring and call out Karrion Kross, excuse me. Kind of interesting. We I guess we're going to see that match this coming week. I mean, Bronson Reed, a huge guy, and Karrion Kross, just a monster that they're making him out to be. So it should be a decent match, but I'm sure it's going to end up being another victory for Kross because he seems to be the one that they're pushing straight to the top right now. But I'm still looking forward to seeing that match. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, we found out this coming week on NXT we're going to have a North American, or a triple threat match for the North American title. Keith Lee defending against Finn Balor and Johnny Gargano. And the winner of that is going to be taking on Adam Cole in a winner-take-all match for the NXT and North American Championships on July 8th. Now, obviously, July 8th, they're positioning this directly against the second week of Fyter Fest with AEW. So, but hey, competition is healthy, and whoever wins that North American title match, taking on Adam Cole, that's going to be a fantastic main event for July 8th. We also saw the return of Killian Dane on NXT, but he, there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare around it. He just kind of, had a match. There wasn't any kind of big hoopla about him coming back, but we haven't seen him in a while. Looks to be in amazing shape, though. He's definitely dropped some weight and gotten, he just looks to be in great shape. But he did take the loss to Damian Priest. So, Damian Priest still being pushed as a pretty big... I wouldn't necessarily call him a monster, but he's still being pushed as a top guy. Yeah, and then talking about Damian Priest, later on in the show, we saw Cameron Grimes. Well, it looked like Cameron Grimes had slashed Damian Priest's tires. Priest came out of the arena, saw his tires were flat. Cameron Grimes rode by, basically said, "Hey, you want me to call you an Uber?" and then took off in his car. So it looks like they're going to have a one-on-one match next week. Then we also saw an appearance by Santos Escobar, the new NXT Cruiserweight Champion, came to the ring with Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza and were quickly attacked by Drake Maverick. Of course, Maverick came out on his own, so he did not have the advantage for very long. Took a pretty good beatdown, ended up getting put through a table, and so this rivalry is definitely going to be continuing for some time. Like I mentioned before, hopefully Maverick will get some backup at some point, because right now it's very one-sided. We also found out that Mercedes Martinez is going to be making her NXT debut sometime soon. It was announced quite a while ago that she had signed with NXT. I'm honestly surprised she hasn't appeared on TV yet, but I'm sure it's probably got something to do with travel issues and the whole quarantine and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we did find out Mercedes Martinez will be making her NXT debut soon, quote unquote, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then the main event on NXT was Bayley and Sasha defending the women's tag team titles against Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox. Great match. Bayley and Sasha retained the title, and we're attacked pretty much immediately after the match by Io Shirai, because Bayley and Sasha, of course, doing the conceited heel thing. Oh, we built this place, and going around talking to people at ringside saying you're welcome for your job and that kind of stuff, and so Io Shirai coming out, attacking both of them, letting them know that this is her NXT, or this is our NXT. I forget exactly how she said it, but so yeah, definitely a good episode of NXT. A lot of stuff going on. It felt like a really long episode, but not in a bad way at all. It was really, really good. Moving on to SmackDown, we saw the debut of Matt Riddle. Took on AJ Styles in a non-title match. AJ, of course, the Intercontinental Champion now, and Riddle was victorious. So it looks like he's going to be pushed pretty much right out of the gate into possibly into the title scene with the Intercontinental title. On Miz TV, we saw another confrontation between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Sonya really being positioned as kind of a badass in the women's division, which I like. She is definitely getting the better of this split up and rivalry with Mandy Rose. And not saying that Mandy's not doing well as well, with her storyline with Otis and Dolph Ziggler and everything. But yeah, I think Sonya is going to be the one coming out of this as a top star in the women's division. It wouldn't surprise me to see her as the SmackDown Women's Champion in I would say probably within the next few months, once she moves on from the rivalry with Mandy Rose. And then we also saw Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura attacking the New Day after the New Day's match with Lucha House Party. And from what I've been reading, Cesaro and Nakamura are basically replacing the Forgotten Sons in this rivalry. The Forgotten Sons were supposed to be the ones going after the New Day, but they were pretty much taken out of that spot because of some comments made on social media by Jackson Riker, and he kind of screwed himself over a little bit. So yeah, it looks like Cesaro and Nakamura are the ones going to be positioned with the New Day, and possibly end up being SmackDown Tag Team Champions in the very near future. And then we finally saw the return of Bray Wyatt with the Firefly Funhouse. Now, Bray, of course, has been out for a few weeks. He and JoJo just had another baby. Congratulations to them. So, had a few weeks off to spend with the family. That's always good. But, yeah, we saw Bray Wyatt come back, and we saw the resurrection, quote-unquote, of the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, while he was talking to Braun Strowman and showing, some pictures and some clips from, the swamp cult leader, as they call him. And something interesting about those clips, and the pictures that they were showing, it wasn't just Bray and Braun Strowman. They were also pictures of Eric Rowan. So, there's obviously some rumors floating around now that Eric Rowan could potentially be coming back as part of the Wyatt family, or or hooked up with Bray Wyatt in one way or another. Rowan, of course, was part of that big wave of releases from WWE back in April. So yeah, I got no problem with Rowan coming back. I wasn't a huge fan of the whole gimmick with the cage he was carrying around, but as far as being an in-ring competitor, I mean, he's a great monster heel. So, you know, throwing him into the mix with Bray and Braun is, I think it'll work. I think it'll be awesome. So hopefully, you know, we'll find out. Sooner rather than later if that's going to come true. Let's see. Oh, as far as some results from the pay-per-view, we saw Apollo Crews retain the U.S. title. Sasha and Bayley obviously retained the tag team titles. Sheamus did defeat Jeff Hardy, and again, you know, saw some more about that storyline on Smackdown. And Sheamus, I guess this coming week, is going to be doing a toast to Jeff Hardy, which is just kind of, again, I'm not a big fan of the storyline with you know, using Jeff Hardy's personal issues as part of the story. But, you know, like I said, there's an audience for everything. So it's just, you know, not my favorite, but Jeff Hardy and Sheamus are two of my favorites, my favorite WWE wrestlers. So, you know, I'm gonna keep watching and see where it goes. Yeah, Asuka ended up retaining the women's title due to a double countout. Kind of an odd ending to that women's match at Backlash. We haven't seen a double countout in a long time, so I'm curious as to where they're going with the Raw Women's title. And then, of course, Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre both retain their respective titles, the Universal and WWE Championship. Moving on to AEW, looks like the Dark Order is recruiting yet another new member. This time it is Anna Jay. She took a defeat from Abaddon, and Abaddon, the newest women's signee for AEW. But after the match, the Dark Order came to the ring and helped Anna Jay to the back. Also handed an envelope to Colt Cabana, which apparently had a contract in it for a tag team match for Colt to team up with Brody Lee to take on Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss this coming week on Dynamite. So you know, they're still trying to get Colt Cabana into the Dark Order. Wondering if he's going to accept. He's obviously accepted the tag team match with Brody Lee, but that doesn't necessarily mean he is part of the Dark Order yet. So we'll have to see how that one's going to play out. But yeah, Dark Order definitely making some moves and growing in numbers. Talking about new signees, like I said, Abaddon, brand new women's signee, and we also found out that the newest men's signee for AEW is Ricky Starks, former NWA World TV Champion. Was announced a few weeks ago that his NWA contract was up and he was a free agent. Now a member of the AEW roster. He made his debut on Wednesday in a match against Cody. Cody was victorious. The match was fantastic. Cody cut an interesting promo before the match, though. He and Arn Anderson came out to the ring, and you know, he was talking about when Hager and the Inner Circle attacked him, I believe it was last week, you know, talking about the Bucks, Hangman, Kenny Omega didn't come out. He's asking, am I still elite? Am I still part of the Nightmare family? Because, you know, Dustin and QT Marshall didn't come out either. So kind of interesting, dropping some little hints. Maybe is Cody kind of on his own now? Is he, you know, no longer a part of those two factions? We'll have to wait and see. I'm interested in this one. And then we saw, excuse me, we saw another tag team match between the Bucks and Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, and of course we saw the Butcher and the Blade and FTR get involved in that one. So yeah, interesting rivalry being built there in the tag team division with these four teams. However, I'm fairly certain that is going to change from a four-way rivalry to a three-way one because of some issues going on with Jimmy Havoc. We'll get into that in a little bit. Some kind of Ring of Honor news. We saw a video from EC3 that he posted on social media, basically just making several different statements and, you know, repeating the line, "There is no honor in what we do," and then at the end of the promo, showing the Ring of Honor logo on the wall behind him. So, you know, there's been a lot of hints dropped by EC3 and about EC3. about where he could possibly turn up next. So, he's definitely, since his WWE release, he's definitely been busy. Talking about EC3 on Impact, we saw Moose retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Hernandez, and at the end of the match, after Moose got the pin, EC3's old TNA music started playing. So, again, more hints being dropped about where EC3 could potentially show up next. So, and it was announced that at least one former world champion will be making his debut or re-debut at Slammiversary coming up on July 18th. So, it'll be interesting to see who is going to be returning to Impact. We also found out on Impact that Madman Fulton, obviously no longer a member of OVE, is now aligned with Ace Austin, made his appearance and basically beat the crap out of Eddie Edwards. So it's OVE is pretty much done. So now Madman Fulton is with Ace Austin as his kind of enforcer, I guess. Then we saw in the back during the show that Trey Miguel, member of the Rascals, was attacked yet again, left laying in the locker room. Still no clue who it was, and this took place during a match between the North and the Rascals for the World Tag Team Championship, which the North did retain. And some other kind of interesting, again, more hints being dropped is Tainara Conti had a little bit of a Twitter exchange with Madison Rayne and Deonna Purrazzo, both obviously part of Impact, kind of hinting that Tainara could be coming into Impact as part of the Knockouts division, which, Impact is building a really, really great women's division. I mean, they've always been known for the Knockouts division for their women's wrestling. Kind of fell off a little bit there, but they're, definitely getting right back to what one of the things that helped them get to be pretty big at one point in the early 2000s. Talking about Deonna Purrazzo, we saw her attack Jordynne Grace yet again, so she's definitely making her intentions known that she wants the Impact Knockouts Championship that Jordynne currently holds. So I'm guessing we're probably going to see that match at Slammiversary. I don't think they've announced a match for Jordynne yet at Slammiversary, so I'm fairly certain we will see Jordynne versus Deonna Purrazzo at Slammiversary for the Knockouts title. Some MLW news. Their ring announcer, Mark Adam Haggerty, has been released from the company, and I'll get into that again in a little bit later on in the show. Also, along the same lines, NWA Vice President Dave Lagana has resigned from his position. So, again, we'll get into the reasonings and the goings-on with all of that in just a few minutes here. But for right now, I am going to throw it over to Charlie G, and he is here with this week's Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, and hey there, wrestling friends. I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut, or as I think it should be renamed, the Pre-So Corner, with all the Japanese wrestling I have been covering during the slow U.S. indie time. There was quite a bit of wrestling action this week, but before I begin with that, I'll talk briefly about the speaking out movement that is going on in wrestling. It is yet another sad few days for the wrestling industry on a week that started off so promising with the return of New Japan Wrestling to at least the streaming world. I applaud the ones who are truthfully speaking out about their terrible experiences. While the list grows, and I am sure it will grow to the point some companies may fold or be hurt for good, things need to be changed for the betterment of all in and out of the ring, and fast. Keep strong and standing up for what is right and what you believe in. Now, since I don't have a list of all the accused, I apologize if any of the names I say today have done anything wrong. So now let's begin with Fist Combat Summer Silver 2K20 on June the 13th, 2020 on Facebook Live, actually, from San Diego, California. You can look up Fist Combat and you could probably find the show, if it's still available. As the last I looked, it was. First off was the Fist title match of Slice Boogie defeating champion Anthony Idol to become new champion. In the Fist Combat Tag title match, Fruit of Doom of Hawkamelon and Pickle Jim, who are champions, defeated the Ringworms of Baron Ratza and Rob Shit. Oh boy. In the Fist Combat Hardcore title versus career match, champion Randy Orton defeated Ron McDonald. Sorry, Miss McDonald. In a tag team match of got people I actually know, Delilah Doom and Eli Everfly defeated Biggio Crescenzo and Ray Romero Jr. And then in the main event, it was for the Fist title match again, champion Slice Boogie defeating Nick Gage, of all people. Nick went from California to Indiana in within a week, so good for him. Next we go back to Japan for Dragon Gate Rainbow Gate 2020, Day 1. Only match worth noting was Ho Ho Loon with Kodo Minarura and Yusake Santamaria defeating Jason Lee, Oji Shiba, and UT. Now from June the 14th, Dragon Gate Rainbow Gate 2020, Day 2. The All Japan Pro Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Title 3-Way Elimination Match. Champion Susumu Yosaka defeated Hokuto Yumura and Yosaki Santamaria. Then Noah Go Forward Day 1. In a lot of six-man tag matches these coming days. Sugiura Gun of Kaz Hayashi, Kendo Kashin, and Nasawa Ranga defeated Kengo of Hai, Kanoi, and Neo. Daisuke Hirata, Tazuki Yohei defeated Stinger of Hayata, Yoshinobu Agawa, and Kinya Okada. In the GHC Junior Heavyweight title match, champion Kotaro Suzuki defeated Yosushi Kotechi. Sugiro Gun also had Kazushi Sakuraba, Rene Dupree, and Takashi Segura defeating another Kongo of Manabu Soya, Masa Kitamaya, and Yoshiki Inamura. And the GHC National title match, champion Kasuki Nakajima defeated Nassau Illinois. Then our favorite Kenji Muto teaming with Masaki Mochizuki and Namichi Marufuji defeating Kaito Kiyomura, Mohamed Onoi, and Sihai Taniguchi. In another GHC heavyweight title match, champion Go Shiozaki defeated Akitashi Saito. Oh, and that was the main event. Sorry about that. And then at DDT with Dramatic Dream Team with an attendance of 82 people. So DDT has a crowd for now. Antonio Honda and Daisuke Dino defeated Hiroshi Yamada and Keigo Nakamura. Chris Brooks defeated Matt Pauley. Disaster Box of Naomi Yasamura and Toru Ashoa defeated Disaster Box Hiroshima and Kaisi Hirata. And then in the six mans, it was here Damnation of Daisuke Sasaki, Somo Tako, and Tatsuya Endo versus Kasuda Iguchi, Kansuki Takashita, and Yuki Yuno to a 10-way draw. Then at the same hall for DDT Gambari Pro Comeback Anytime 2020 with the same attendance of 82 people. A different Asuka defeated Shoto. And then in the Independent World Junior Heavyweight title match, Koseki Ishii, champion, defeated Ken Oka. Then on June 15th, Freedom's New Generation is here 2020 with an attendance of 97 people. The only match worth noting was the fluorescent light tube death match of Takashi Sasaki, Taro Suguro, and Valentino Jack defeated Daisuke Masaka, Jun Kashi, and Masha Takada. That was the 15th was also the day of New Japan Together Project Special. And then on the 16th, it was the start of New Japan Cup Day 1. On the 17th, it was New Japan Cup Day 2. Some had some really good matches, some with replacement guys. Left to be desired, but still nice to have New Japan Wrestling back in action. Also on the 17th, Ice Ribbon's Peace Party, number 46, with an attendance of 30 people. The main match was Suzy Suzuki and Tekla defeating Ibuki Hoshi and Rina Saragaki. Then on June the 19th, Noah All Four Sides GHC National Title number 1 contendership tournament day 1. Round 1, it was Shahi Taniguchi defeated Shiyo Marahashi. Saiki Yoshihaka defeating Hai. Masa Kitamura defeated Izumi Ohara. Yasushi Kotechi defeated Yoshiki Inamura. Manabo Soyoi defeated Kinya Okada. Muhammad Yuno defeated Rocky Kiramura. And Rene Dupree defeated Neo. Then in DDT Street Wrestling Money in the Bag from Tosetsu, Danseko Dino teamed with Mikado Oishi and Super Sasadango Machine defeating Keigo Nakamura, Sanshiro Takagi, and Shino Oki. Disaster Box of Hiroshima, Naomi Ishimura, and Yuki Ueno defeated Mao, Mizuki Watasi, and Yuki Naya. Then Tokyo Yoshi Pro had a women's tag match on the show with the Magical Sugar Rabbits of Mizuki and Yuko Sakazaki defeated Mina Shirakawa and Yuki Kamafuki. And more 6-man action is Shingo Takabani team with Sukiban Saki and Yoshiko defeating Danseko Dino, Mikado Ushi, and Super Sasadango Machine. For Damnation, it was Daisuke Sasaki, Somo Tako, and Tatsushi Endo defeating Disaster Box of Hiroshima, Naomi Yoshimura, and Yuki Ueno. Yeah, they wrestled more than once that night, folks. And then with a mixed tag of Yasushi Yonada, Chris Brooks, and Maki Ito of Tokyo Yoshi Pro defeated the All Out of Kensuke Takeshita, Shunma Katsumata, and Yuki Ino. Now on the June 20th, Ice Ribbon number 1047 had an attendance of 50 people. No real matches really to go over. Then my favorite Tokyo Yoshi Pro had Koko Ni Ariji Day 2 with an attendance of 142 people. Match 1 was Mizuki defeated Sino Shihira with a Samoan suplex, or as they call it, a cutie special. Hikara Noah defeated Hirano Nico in a quick match. Didn't even notice the finishing move. It was just a quick match. In a tag match of Mayu Yamashita and Yuno Manazi defeated Hyper Misio and Soka Nakajima in 58 seconds, only to have the match restarted, and then Hyper Misio and Soka Nakajima defeated Mio Yamashita and Yuno Manazi as Hyper used hairspray on Mio for the easy win. Beginning was pretty lame. Second match it went longer, but still just seemed very uncoordinated. I don't know what was wrong with these four, but it was okay. Still the end with hairspray. I guess you're going old school there. And 6-woman tag, it was Maki Ito, Pam Hirazuku, and Raku defeated Miyu Watanabe, Rika Tatsumi, and Suzumi. It was a good match with Maki hitting a cloverleaf special and Suzumi for the win. Match 5 was Nasumi Maki defeating Maharu Kiru in another decent match. And then in the main event, it was Nodeko Tenma teaming with Yuka Onino and Yuka Sakazaki defeated Mina Shirakawa, Mira Miyumi, and Yuka Kamifuki, with Yuki Ino pinning Murimo. Then for Noah, all four sides, GHC number 1 contendership tournament, day 2. Second round matches are Shihei Taniguchi defeating Saikyo Yoshiyaka, Masa Kitamura defeating Yasuyo Kotechi. Yeah, I'm getting bad at these names now. Manabu Soyo defeating Muhammad Yunoi. Then it was actually the semifinals of Masa Kitamoya defeating Suhei Taniguchi. Manabu Soyo defeated Rene Dupree. So then in the tournament final match, was Manabu Soyo defeating Masa Kitamoya. Pretty long day for those, man, I'm sure. Then for DDT show number 7, they had a DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal title delayed entry battle royal. So Antonio Honda won, defeating Daisuke Dino champion, Mao, Mizuki Watasi, Shinya Okoi, Shunma Katsumata, and Yukio Nae. Then quickly after that, it was the heavy metal title match with Dansiko Dino defeating Antonio Honda to become new champion. I really don't get DDT, but if I could ever watch them all, I'm sure I'd understand a little bit better. And yet another 6-man match. It was the All Out of Akito, Kansuki Takashita, and Yuki Inoi, defeating Disaster Box of Kazuki Hirata, Naomi Yashimura, and Toru Owashi. Then in the main event was the KO'd 6-man tag title match of Eruption, consisting of Kasusada Gucci, Saki Aki, and Yukio Sakaguchi, defeating the champions of the Strong Hearts Liniment and T-Hawk with Tatsushi Endo. Don't forget, the 20th is GCW The World on GCW 2. It's at 4 o'clock. I'm sure watching this, it's already past that, of course, but if you want to catch the replay, I'm sure you can. I'll be trying to watch it myself in about an hour. So now it's time for the 2B Throwback Machine with Lucha Underground and episode 11, called Last Luchador Standing, from January 21st, 2015. First match was the Crew of Cortez Castro and Mr. Cisco, with Bale at ringside, defeating Pimpinella Escalada and Masquerita Sagrada. This was a fun match with Pimpinella and Sagrada doing a lot of lucha libre action in and out of the ring. However, they couldn't overcome the strength and teamwork of Castro and Cisco, as they landed an assistant codebreaker on Sagrada for the win. After the match, Big Rick, who was watching the match from the stairway, came down to warn everyone, and he meant everyone, that he is going after the title, and whoever is carrying it will be prepared for the judgment of Big Rick. Right at that moment, Castro chop-blocked Rick, and the Crew put the boots to him. Mr. Cisco, who had Rick's cigar, gave it back to him by way of his eye in a brutal attack. He pretty much used Big Rick's eye as an ashtray. The Crew headed to Dario Cueto's office, where we see after the break a payout for the performance of taking out Big Rick, as they seem to be watching the owner's back, at least for now. Next, we had an interview segment with Vampiro and the man they call Cage. He explains how he is and why he is there. Pretty good interview, and this is when I really got to like Cage. He acted like a badass and a mean guy. You can see where Brian Cage had it going on back then. Second match was Pentagon Jr. against Superfly. This match really showed how good and strong Pentagon really is, with loud chops and kicks. To Superfly, who took a beating while our mystery woman appeared once again. Superfly got some offense in, but Penta was just too much, hitting a pile driver for a rather easy win. After the match, Pentagon talks about Chavo Guerrero, who he thought was willing to help him out, but instead there is another to join forces with him. So only time will tell who that person is. If you're listening, you might get a clue. Match number 3 is Sexy Star defeating El Mariachi Loco. A nice match, kind of a showcase match of Sexy Star's skill set, or you might call it a squash match, but I am being positive today. She won with a small package of all things. Not very skilled, but still show how she can win a match. And then in the main event, it was King Cuerno against Drago, and a last man standing match. This was a good match between these two. No one really had control long in this. Their lucha style really shined in and out of the ring with quite a bit of high flying moves. Cuerno did hit one of my favorite moves perfectly with a tope con hilo, which led to the fight outside the ring, as Cuerno eventually landed the thrill of the hunt through a table from the ring apron. Somehow Drago started to move around the count of 8 to the surprise of all, so Cuerno went on to attack again, when he grabbed a rope tying Drago to the lower turnbuckle in the corner until the ref counted to 10 for the win. It was a decent show, kind of 2 squash matches and a great main event. Episode 11, another good show by Lucha Underground, so keep watching, fans, if you're watching with me. That's a wrap for me. Till next time, where I will recap the GCW show from the 20th, and any news or shows that come about, or any other bad news that comes about. Don't forget to look at those Twitch streams and YouTube channels for other wrestling content and charity donations. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Take care, be safe, and be kind, everyone. Back to you, Tom.
All right, thanks a lot, Charlie, as always, for keeping everybody up with what's going on in the indies. I know next week Charlie's going to be reviewing the GCW show from yesterday. From everything I saw online, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole show myself, but people were going nuts for it. It apparently was a great show, so if you get a chance to go back and watch it, definitely do, but also make sure you tune in next week for Charlie's review on that show as well. So let's roll right along into the next segment of the show. A little bit happier news than some of the stuff we've been hearing about in wrestling this week, which I will get to, but I'll be getting to that towards the end of the show to give my take on everything crazy that's been going on. But let's talk about some good stuff right now, and I am talking about the fan of the week. This week's fan of the week, honestly, is one of my favorite follows on Twitter, and it is Jessie Davin, known on Twitter as at Jessie the Buckeye, and that's Jessie with an I. And she's got honestly a huge following on Twitter. I want to say like 25,000 plus followers, and she is known for her reaction videos, just little clips that she posts of her reacting to different crazy stuff that's going on whatever wrestling show she's happened to be watching. She's known for her AEW hoodie that she wears in most of her videos, and she's a really cool presence online, always entertaining, always has something good to say. Some of her reactions are just hilarious, and she's a great follow on Twitter. She's also got a YouTube channel. She's got an OnlyFans channel, and as she says in her announcement, not that kind of OnlyFans. Don't get the wrong idea. Just where she puts up, bonus stuff that she doesn't put on Twitter or social media. But yeah, so if you're not following her already, give her a follow. Check out some of her stuff. She's very entertaining. Seems like a very cool person, and just another one who has a lot of good things to say about pro wrestling, and that's probably the best that I can say. She's just a very good, positive presence on the internet wrestling community. So give her a follow on Twitter. She is at Jessie the Buckeye. That's Jessie with an I, and yeah, check out some of her videos, check out her YouTube channel, check out her OnlyFans, and just an awesome follow on social media. This week's fan of the week, Jessie Davin at Jessie the Buckeye. So give her a follow, check her out. So moving on to the next part of the show, where I get to play kind of armchair wrestling promoter here, where I get to rebook the territory, as it were, and this is the Fantasy Booker. Doing something a little bit different this week on the Fantasy Booker. Now, I don't know, I'm sure some of you guys remember a while back I did created kind of my own version of an AEW version of the Four Horsemen, if they were to put something like that together today. Kind of doing something like that again. This time it's in WWE, and I'm putting together a brand new version of Evolution. Now, the original Evolution obviously was Ric Flair, Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista. And, each of those guys served a very clear-cut, specific role in that faction. Ric Flair obviously was the elder statesman, quote-unquote, the mentor, the all-time great, the Hall of Famer, and then Triple H was the kind of the current top dog, and the world champion at the time and things like that. Randy Orton, the young up and coming kind of finesse guy is what I would call him as far as in ring style. And then you had Batista, again another young up and coming guy. He was the muscle. So we're going to fill each of those roles with current guys, and first and foremost in that kind of mentor type role, I'm putting Triple H. That gives a connection to the original Evolution, legitimizes the using the name, and Triple H is definitely one who can fill that role now of being the mentor and the elder statesman, the Hall of Famer, all that kind of stuff. Now for the current top dog, as it were, I'm going with Seth Rollins. Multi-time world champion, definitely the top guy on Raw, quite honestly, and just one of the faces of WWE right now. So yeah, Seth Rollins definitely goes in that spot formerly held by Triple H in the original Evolution. Now for the younger guy that's kind of the in-ring finesse type guy, I am going with Dominik Dijakovic. We haven't seen too much of him on NXT. I don't know if they're getting ready to bring him up to Raw or SmackDown or what's going on, but I think he would fit into that Randy Orton role quite nicely. Just because like I said, he's kind of that finesse guy in the ring. Very smooth. He's a big guy himself, but he's very smooth in the ring, very athletic, moves around really well, can do some high flying stuff. So I think he would definitely fit that Randy Orton role from the original Evolution. And then finally for the muscle, the big guy, I'm gonna go with Dio Madden. Now, we haven't seen him on TV since he left the Raw commentary team. He went back to the Performance Center, wants to, he wants to be an in-ring superstar. So, and Dio Madden, a huge guy, former NFL player, and, he kind of fits that same mold as Batista when Evolution first started. Because, think about, what was Batista before Evolution? He was Deacon Batista. He was paired up with Devon Dudley, and quite honestly, he was doing a whole lot of nothing. And, he just kind of came out of left field and turned into the this monster in the muscle for Evolution. And I think Dio Madden could fill the same role because, like I said, the only only time we've seen Dio Madden on TV was as an announcer on Raw. So I think that would be the perfect spot for him. So that's, that is my fantasy booker for this week, creating a brand new version of Evolution with Triple H, Seth Rollins, Dominic Dijakovic, and Dio Madden. I think they could do a lot of the same stuff that the original version of Evolution did back in the day, as far as just kind of running roughshod over the roster. I think it'd make a great faction. I mean, obviously with the original Evolution, there was a lot of chemistry between the members, and they got along with each other on a personal level very well outside of the ring. Now, we already know, or I think I'm pretty sure it's, that's the case with Triple H and Seth Rollins, as far as how Dijak and Madden would fit in there. Who knows? I don't know what, if any, kind of relationship any of these guys have outside the ring, but just on paper, on TV, I think that would be a hell of a faction. Triple H, Seth Rollins, Dominic Dijakovic, and Dio Madden. So moving on to the next segment of the show, giving what is typically an unpopular opinion, I am talking about the weekly hot take. My weekly hot take for this week is be a fan or be a critic. You can't be both. I'm so tired of seeing fans on social media thinking that they have the right to critique a wrestler's ability or skill. Because you know what? I'm sorry, you don't have the experience to be a wrestling critic. It makes no sense to me. People want to complain about how they want to complain about wrestling styles and how wrestlers perform certain moves. I'm sorry, you have no right to do that. You know who does have the right? The guys who have been in the business, who have the experience. Jerry Lawler has the right to critique a wrestling match. The Undertaker has the right to critique a wrestling match. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, guys that actually train people how to become wrestlers, and guys that actually put matches together and things like that. Those are the ones that have the right to critique wrestling matches. Not Dave Meltzer, not Wade Keller, or any other dirt sheet guy or wannabe YouTube guy like myself. But, none of us have the right to be critics. It's like being a movie critic. There's tons of movie critics out there too. They don't have the right to critique movies either, because they're not actors, they're not directors, they're not producers. They're critics. They get paid to spout their opinions, because that's all it is, guys. It's all opinion. It's all subjective. If Dave Meltzer tells me that two wrestlers had a bad match, I'm gonna watch the match myself and make the decision for myself as to whether I like it or not, because that's basically all he's telling me is he doesn't like it. And I'm sorry I'm picking on Meltzer. He hasn't pissed me off or anything. He's just first name that comes to mind, because he's the kind of the top when it comes to the dirt sheet guys. But you guys get my point. If it's all, like I said, it's all opinion. It's all whether or not the person likes the match. Now, if somebody like Triple H says, hey, that was a bad match, that holds a hell of a lot more weight, because it's Triple H. He basically runs NXT, and he runs the Performance Center, and he's in charge of the talent and training these guys and things like that, and he produces matches and he puts stuff together for TV. So if Triple H says it was a bad match, it was probably a bad match. But beyond that, it's all subjective, it's all opinion, and think for yourselves. Don't go by what me or any other person on the internet, on a podcast, on YouTube, or in a dirt sheet tells you as far as what's good and what's not. Determine that for yourself. If you agree with what they say, okay, fine. Then you have the same kind of taste in wrestling. But just because somebody doesn't like it doesn't make it bad. So like I said, be a fan or be a critic, but you can't be both. If you're a fan, you do not have the knowledge or the experience to draw from to make a judgment on whether or not a match is good or bad. You just don't. That's just not how it works. Sorry to bust anybody's bubble, but you're not a wrestling expert. I'm not a wrestling expert. We're all fans. That's it. So Watch what you like, enjoy what you like, and to hell with what anybody else thinks about it. That is my hot take for this week. So, I want to also make mention that Wrestling Behind Ringside announced just yesterday, as a matter of fact, the inductees for their Hall of Fame for this year. I'm going to run those down real quick. They've got, I believe it's a dozen different wings of their Hall of Fame, and the first is a celebrity wing, and the inductee this year is Cyndi Lauper. They have a fans wing, and this year is a gentleman named Clay Johnson. Referees wing is Joey Marella. Definitely a great choice there. Joey Marella, one of my favorite referees from back in the day, passed away way too soon. And the announcers wing is Lee Marshall. Another great choice there. The promoters wing this year is Paul E. Dangerously, Paul Heyman. The legends wing, gentleman Chris Adams, one of my all-time old-school favorites from World Class Championship Wrestling. First guy I ever saw throw a super kick. He trained Steve Austin. I mean, just an all-time great who I think gets overlooked quite a bit. So it's good to see him getting some recognition here. In the tag team division, the Hollywood Blondes, Flying Brian Pillman, and Stunning Steve Austin. The stable wing is the Dungeon of Doom, the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, and all the multitude of guys that were in that faction at one time or another. The women's wing this year is Luna Vachon. The superstar wing is Junkyard Dog, and in the podcast wing it is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. So I gotta say a huge thank you to the people that voted, and also to my buddy Archie Cowboy Coughlin for even putting me into consideration for this one. It is truly awesome. And then the final award, which they call Forever in Silver, this year was given to Bruiser Brody. And it is commemorated by just a beautiful plaque. So if you have a chance, head over to the WBR Facebook page and check out the announcement that Archie put out last night, and where they show off the plaque for Bruiser Brody. Really cool looking plaque. So stay tuned for the announcements of when that Hall of Fame the induction is actually going to take place and all that kind of fun stuff. All right, and finally, last segment of the show here, I want to get into some of the just disturbing and just horrible stuff that's been coming out this week regarding pro wrestling. And if you follow any type of wrestling stuff on social media, I'm sure you've seen the speaking out movement that's been going on. And we've been seeing just dozens of wrestlers and promoters and managers and announcers, and just from all parts of pro wrestling world, accusations of wrongdoing, to say the least. A lot of it having to do with sexual abuse and sexual assault and sexual harassment, and just really vile, disgusting acts, and a lot of them having to do with children. People try to use the term underage women or underage men or whatever. They're children. Say it for what it is. I've seen a few people say this online. They are children. Stop using the term, he sent inappropriate pictures to an underage woman. No, he sent inappropriate pictures to a child. Okay? I'm sorry, but that carries more weight, and it's more honest. And like I said, just dozens and dozens of these accusations and stories coming out. And I mean, there's been rumors and whispers and rumbles and stuff like that about this kind of thing in pro wrestling for decades. And but now we are seeing people come forward, and they're naming names and giving detailed stories, and it's shocking, I guess is the right word. And it's very eye-opening as to just how bad certain parts of the pro wrestling business are. And some of the names that are being dropped, I mean, it started with indie wrestler David Starr, and it just kind of created an avalanche of people coming forward and telling their stories, and releasing names, and I mentioned earlier, Mark Adam Haggerty, the ring announcer for MLW, was released. He was one of the people who was outed as, having inappropriate conversations or things like that with a kid, a 15-year-old kid. And, Jack Gallagher has been released from NXT UK because of the accusations against him. David Lagana resigned from the NWA because of the accusations against him. Matt Riddle has been accused, but Matt Riddle's situation, this is something that's been ongoing for a few years. Riddle's, given his side of it. His attorneys released a statement. So, who knows what's going to happen on that one. But Velveteen Dream is another one. Now, there were accusations that came out about him a couple of months ago, and now more stuff has surfaced about Velveteen Dream. Jordan Devlin, Ligero, Travis Banks, Joe Coffey, all these guys from NXT UK, Joey Ryan and Dave Crist from Impact, Justin Roberts from AEW, Jim Cornette and his wife. My God, the stories about them are just disgusting and disturbing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one to judge anybody on their fetishes or their kinks or whatever you want to call it. Everybody's got their thing. And hey, you know what? If it makes you happy and it's not hurting anybody, that's the key here. If it's not hurting anybody, I got no issue with it. I'm not going to shame anybody for what they like to do in their bedroom. But in this particular case, it was hurting people because they were, allegedly they're, forcing wrestlers to become involved in their bedroom activities in order to further that wrestler's career, get him pushed up the card, or, well, if you don't do it, you're going to get buried, and this kind of thing. And this stems from supposedly when Cornette was working in OVW as one of the top bookers there, or whatever it was. But just, my God, is it really that hard to be a decent human being? I mean, you're put, and a lot of these stories had to do with, a trainer and a student. You are in a position of not just authority, but a position of trust. And you take advantage of it, and you take advantage of somebody's youth and somebody's innocence and somebody being naive and stuff like that. And it's just it's disgusting is the only word that I can use for it. And there's been statements made by a lot of promotions that people have been released. People will no longer be on their card. I mean, Mark Adam Haggerty, like I said, was released from MLW. There have been indie promotions come out and say we'll never work with him again. Same thing with some of these other names that have been put out there. I mean, careers are going to end because of this, and rightfully so. And anybody that tries to defend any of this stuff is equally as bad, quite honestly, because people want to cry and say, oh, you're going to ruin his career. Good. I'm sorry. If you've done something like this, you deserve to have your career ruined. Now, and there's so many people out there saying, oh, where's the proof? Well, there's plenty of people that came forward with proof as far as text messages and, pictures and things like that. So there are plenty of people who came forward with proof, with evidence. But you know what? In these kind of cases, you need to believe the victims, because especially if it's a case where they haven't wanted to come forward with it for a certain period of time, maybe there isn't evidence other than their word. But you know what? Their word needs to be believed. Anytime there is an accusation like this, the victims need to be believed, and it needs to be investigated, period. And there are people in the world who will make these types of accusations falsely just to get revenge or try to get a payday or whatever it is. Unfortunately, people like that do exist. But you cannot ever automatically assume that is somebody's motivation, because that is a very, very dangerous mindset. It sets a dangerous precedent that, you're going to be labeled as a liar until something is proven. No, victims need to be listened to, victims need to be believed, and every single accusation like this needs to be investigated. So, I think the promotions that have spoken out in support of the victims are spot on. Good on them for taking steps to correct this horrendous behavior that's been going on in the wrestling business apparently for a very long time. And hopefully this is the beginning of some serious changes in the pro wrestling world, not just on the indies but in the majors as well. So hopefully this can actually spark some positive change in the pro wrestling world, because it obviously is sorely needed. So that is going to wrap things up for this week for Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Again, thank you to everybody for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure you're following on social media at Catch, Hook, Shoot. Head to ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot for your t-shirt needs. Keep an eye on Patreon.com/CatchHookShoot for some of the updates that are coming. Hopefully soon. It's kind of slow going, but I am working on it. There'll be some new stuff going up on Patreon very soon. And like I said, if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. Once again, happy Father's Day to all my fellow dads out there. Hope everybody has a great Sunday, gets to relax, spend some time with their family, and just enjoy the day. So, with that, I'm going to wrap things up for this week. Hope everybody is staying safe, staying healthy. Guys, just be good to each other. Be good people. I mean, my God, with all the stuff that we've seen and heard going on in the pro wrestling business this week, this world needs good people. So, be that good person. Be a decent human being. Treat other people the way that you would want to be treated. Better yet, treat other people the way that you would want your children to be treated. That's kind of how I try to look at stuff. I mean, I know how I want people to treat my kid. Well, everybody is somebody's kid. So, treat other people the way that you want your children to be treated. And if you don't have children, treat other people the way that you want to be treated. Just be a decent human being, for God's sake, please. Because we're finding out there are a lot of people out there who are not. So, again, with that, I'm going to wrap everything up. Again, happy Father's Day. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon.